everyone. My name is Juliette Bryant and I'm a nutritionist and a superfood alchemist. And today we're talking about sacred earth, sacred union. So when you hear those words, what does that mean to you? What do you feel when you hear that? The sacred earth, sacred union, not the nutritionist, superfood alchemist, but our connection with the earth, yeah? That we're part of nature. Anything else? Respect and love for what the mother provides. Beautiful. So today we're going to be talking about all those things that you so beautifully said. For me, my mission in life has become really clear, and it's to connect people into the earth and through that to remind them of who they are. Because so many people think that we're just walking on this earth, that we're just on it, but we're not. We're in it. We're part of it. And when we remember that we're part of this earth, what happens is everything around you changes. Because you're not just stepping on top of this surface that is there for you to use. And this is where society is right now, isn't it? Most people, other than people here, most people are walking on this earth just using it as a resource, as something to sustain them, something that is there for their fulfillment. But actually, we are part of this incredible creation, and when we can really wake up to that, everything in our lives can change. Because we realise we're not separate from the trees or from the dandelions or the daisies. We're not separate from each other. We're not separate from the rain or the sun. It's all part of us. It's all part of our makeup. And so this is what we're going to be exploring a bit today. So when you hear the word sacred union, what does union mean to you? What is union? Joining together. It's a relationship, isn't it? So if we want to come into sacred union with the earth, what do we need to do to foster that? Build a relationship. So what do we need to build a relationship? Because this goes for the earth, for ourselves, for each other. What do we need to do? Respect. What else? Reconnect. What does any relationship need? Love. Time. That's the one. So when we want to build a relationship with the earth and with ourselves and with other people, we have to put time in. So how do we put time in to build that relationship? And are we putting any time into that connection between the thing that actually sustains us and nourishes us and that has brought us here? How many of us put that time in to build that relationship? I know a few people here definitely do. But this is the most fundamental thing. Whether it's 5 minutes sat by a tree or whether it's a few minutes barefoot on the ground to start your day. One of the things that I love to do in the morning is to go outside, take my shoes off, and I make my cacao and mushroom drink. And I go outside and I just breathe in the earth. And I look around at all of the beautiful plants I'm growing. And I just have that moment of gratitude. Thank you for allowing me to be here right now. Thank you for all of the wisdom that you give me. Thank you for feeling the earth underneath my feet. And you know what? When you start your day in that space of opening up to what is the magic of our life, and yes, it can be shit sometimes, and yes, it can be hard work, and yes, it's not all roses. But when you can take that time to actually go barefoot on the earth and go, oh, aren't I lucky? Aren't I lucky that I can stand on this ground and I can feel the grass underneath my feet? Because that means I'm alive. That means I'm here now. And for me, since doing that, it's really changed my perspective on everything. And I've gone through some very, very hard times over the last few years with my son's mental health. It's been a huge journey, and it's been a very, very dark night of the soul for me in many ways, but the light keeps coming and you keep focusing on, this is a learning. There's good that comes out of everything. So where is that good? Where is the lessons? Where is the learning? A little detour story about it is I created my mushroom tincture because of my son's mental health, because of what was going on with him. And it's really helped him. It's really supported his journey. But what's so incredible is then the spread out of that. So I've shared my story on social media, and now all of these other families with children who are supposedly on the spectrum have all been working with the mushrooms, and they've all had 50 different families in the last few months have all had huge changes with their children's behaviour, just the way they are. And that is just amazing, isn't it? And for me, that just makes me go, well, that journey with him was worth it. It was so hard, but he's learnt so much. And not only that, I can then share that and help other people. So if we can look at what's going on and go, you know what, this is a gift. This is a gift that's been given to me so I can then help others with everything. We can all do that. So wherever there is that adversity, Mother Earth, the cosmos, is asking you to step up and share. Because that's what we're all here for, isn't it? To share, I think. To share our love, to share our experience, to share our open-heartedness, to share the fact that we are all part of this beautiful earth. We're all walking with the earth together. For me, I'm a huge fan of medicinal mushrooms. They are one of my favourite things and have been for many, many moons. In all forms, not just the magic ones. I think my journey with mushrooms started with a journey with mushrooms, but then progressed into the fact we can journey with all of the mushrooms, not just the psychoactive ones. Just like we can journey with all of the plants around us. But when I started working with mushrooms, what I realised, and it's amazing because this is coming into the forefront of society so much now, but what I realised was that when I had the mushrooms, it connected me into everything. And then when I started to research, well, actually, that's exactly what's happening. Because underneath our feet, all around the planet, is the mycelium network. And the mycelium network is the main body of the mushroom. So the things that we see popping up from the ground or the flying saucers on the trees, those mushrooms, that's the fruiting body. That's like the apple on the tree. The main body of the mushroom is in everything. So this mycelium network is a bright white root system that interacts with every living thing. So all the trees, all the plants, all of us, we are all connected by the mycelium. So when I visualize that, and I want you just to take a moment, if you want to close your eyes and just visualize this network of white filaments of light connecting everything. Connecting everything, crossing the whole planet, interacting with all of the tree roots, all of the plant roots, all of the beautiful Mother Earth. That's what we're part of. And what's amazing is if a tree over here is struggling, it can send out a distress signal through the mycelium to a tree over there, and that tree over there can send the nutrients it needs to support it back to that tree through the mycelium. So what if we started doing that with each other? What if we could sense that someone was struggling? They put out a call for help and we could go, it's all right, I got this, I'm sending it over, sending those vibes. Because ultimately everything is vibration. We're all vibration. The plants are vibration, the trees are vibration, the crystals are vibration, everything's vibration. And this was another really interesting thing that I realised. I studied crystal healing many years ago. And I was 2 years through my diploma in crystal healing. It was a 3-year course. I'd done the 2 years and I then found myself pregnant with my oldest child. And suddenly I couldn't be around crystals. And I was crystal mad. When I was younger, I was kind of more like a fairy than a human. I was kind of up here. My feet were probably that much off the ground. And I never really engaged. I didn't like it here. I hated it. I loved being with the crystals. I loved being with the fairies. I loved being with the plants, but I didn't want to be here. heavily in this body. So when I got pregnant, I was suddenly in my body and it was horrible. I was like, I don't like this, get me out of here. But it was such an amazing lesson, because what I realized, and when I couldn't work with crystals and I couldn't have them around, what I realized I could do is I could think about a crystal. And the energy came to me. I was like, oh, I don't actually need to hold that crystal to work with it. That's amazing. And like Emma was talking about the plants, it's exactly the same thing. You start working with a plant. You have to know it first of all. Like I have to know you to be able to tune into your energy and call you in. I have to know a person's field, whether it's a plant, a crystal, or a person. So you have to have that relationship. So rosemary, for example. I picked a card this morning that was what was my talk going to be focused on, and rosemary came, which is about ancient remembrance, and I thought, how apt. Because this is all in us. This is nothing new, I'm telling you. This is all in us, and we are remembering our truth. So I want you to think about rosemary. Most people have probably smelt rosemary. Everyone smelt rosemary here? Yeah. So when you think about rosemary, can you smell it? Yeah. So by smelling it, you're bringing it in because you're thinking about it. So let's take that to the next stage. You need a bit of protection. You feel like you need some protection, or maybe your throat's gone scratchy. Rosemary for me is always something I use on my throat. I've had a lot of issues with speaking, and I trained as a classical actress in my first incarnation, so I've done speaking a lot, but my throat, I think from a past life of speaking truth and being hung, closes quite a lot. So I work with rosemary, and rosemary opens my throat and protects me. But I don't have to have rosemary anymore. Before I was like, oh, I haven't got my rosemary, what's going to happen when I get up and talk? But I don't need it because I know rosemary, so I can invite rosemary to be with me, to guide me, to protect me, and to support my voice and my throat. And this is what is so magical about the world that we are part of, is we are not separate from any of these plants. But we have to get to know them first. So like Emma talked about, having that plant diet, connecting with the energy of the plant, actually working with it in whatever form you want to choose, whether it's an essence, whether it's a tea, whether it's in water, however you want to work with it, whether it's growing it or finding it in the wild. I started teaching foraging many years ago, and I wasn't teaching it from an earth connection point. I was teaching it from this plant does this and it's amazing for this, and this plant does this, and the medicinal side of all the plants around us. But what I saw when I did that was that when you get out into nature and you start looking. Has anyone here been foraging before? What happens when you start foraging is you start looking, don't you? You're not just walking oblivious to where you are. You suddenly start looking around you at what gifts you're being given by the earth. What's here? And for me, that is such a magical thing that brings me so much joy, is seeing what the earth is presenting you. And then looking it up, connecting with it. One of the things that I like to do, and we're going to do it now if everyone wants to, is we're going to think about a plant, and then we're going to tune into that plant, and we're going to ask it how it wants to work with us. And it's a very quick thing. Sometimes we think about meditation and tuning in having to be a really long thing that can take an hour. I've got to sit and prepare, and it's great to do all that, but sometimes it's very, very simple. You call in the plant and you say, how can you help me physically? How can you help me mentally? How can you help me emotionally? How can you help me spiritually? And you can ask that plant to show you. Now, sometimes you may not get an answer. Sometimes you may get a feeling, because we all get messages differently, don't we? So some people feel, some people sense, some people smell. Sometimes if one of the things that quite often happens is a part of the body will ache. So you may think of a plant and that the body then goes, oh. And for me, that's a signal that the plant wants to work in that area to help release something. So are you guys up for a little short journey to see about a plant? Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to allow that plant for you to choose. I'm not going to dictate what plant you choose. But I want you to take a moment just to close your eyes and connect in with your breath. And I just want you to feel yourself coming here now into your body, coming into this space. And with each breath coming more into your body, your beautiful, wonderful body. And with your next breath, I want you to imagine that you're breathing up from the heart of the earth. That breath is coming all the way up through your body, going above your body into the cosmos. And as you exhale, you're breathing down from the cosmos into the center of the earth, creating this beautiful cycle with each breath from the center of the earth up into the cosmos, from the cosmos down into the center of the earth. Breathing up from the center of the earth all the way up to the cosmos. Breathing down from the cosmos into the center of the earth. Creating a beautiful cycle between the earth and the cosmos, with you safely held in the center. And if you want to bring your tongue behind your teeth at the top of your mouth, then you create an even stronger circuit with the earth and the cosmos. So doing another 2 breaths from the center of the earth to the cosmos and down. And I invite you to imagine now that you're sat on the earth. You're sat on the beautiful earth, the sun shining down on you. You can feel the gentle breeze. And you're in a beautiful, sacred, held space. And in this space, I invite you to ask a plant that wants to work with you to come forward. You may see this plant, you may just hear its name, you may sense it or smell it. And when the plant is there, you may see it as a light, as a spirit form, or in the actual form of the plant. There's no right or wrong. I want you to ask this plant why it has chosen to present itself to you right now. And then asking this beautiful plant how it wants to work with you physically. And just breathing the energy of this plant into your physical body. Breathing the energy, the vibration of this plant, maybe the smell or the taste of this plant through all of your body. So you feel it in your cells. And then thanking this plant for helping you physically. I invite you to ask this plant now how it wants to work with you mentally. And again, it may be a feeling. It may be a scene of a past event. It may be words coming into your mind. But allow this plant to move round your mental body. Breathe it into your mental body. Feel it easing any stress or anxiety or overwhelm, overthinking, however it wants to work. And then giving thanks to this plant for helping you on the mental level. We invite this plant now to show you how it wants to work with you on an emotional level. Breathing this plant deeply into your emotional being. Feeling the plant moving around, healing, allowing its vibration to settle throughout your emotional body. And then giving thanks to this beautiful plant for helping you on the emotional level. Now we invite this beautiful plant to help you on the spiritual level. How does it want to work with you on a spiritual level? And then breathing it deeply into your spiritual body. Breathing it deeply into your soul. Feeling that deep soul connection with this beautiful plant that has presented itself to you today. And giving thanks to this beautiful plant spirit for being here, for working with you right now. Giving thanks to yourself for being here, open to this journey. And breathing deeply back into your body, back into this space now. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. Does anyone want to share a plant that came to them?
Blueberry.
Blueberry, amazing.
It's my favourite fruit, but I love the plant as well.
And what did Blueberry say to you?
I don't know, I just felt really calm.
Amazing. Beautiful. Thank you. Does anyone else want to share what plant?
Yeah, I went back to a childhood memory that I thought of the other day of a willow tree in the garden that I used to play under, and it was like a playhouse because the branches came right down to the ground. I just went straight back there, and it was really easy and really lovely.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to do that again.
Beautiful. Thank you. Did you put up your hand?
Thistle.
Thistle. What did Thistle say to you?
It's going to help work on my back, the remaining things on my back, and with some frustrations I have with prickly people, I think.
Nice. Lovely. Brilliant. So you can see how easy it is to snap into, to tap into this world that we are part of, but we've forgotten. Like the rosemary that I picked this morning, that ancient remembering of who we are. We are not separate from any of this. Now, we can work with them in this way. Obviously, we can work with them physically. I like to work with them on all levels. You know, for me, that's my favourite thing, because then you're connecting in all levels like we are. We are physical beings here on this earth. We are etheric beings. You know, we have all these layers. And what I realised, you know, I said I was very ungrounded before. What I realised was that it's such a joy to be grounded. It's such a beautiful thing to be here. And for me, when I tap into the earth and I tap into the mycelium, my consciousness can expand so much more than just if I'm floating, tapping in up here. If we can tap into this beautiful, like we were doing, that kind of cosmic orbit of connecting to the earth and the cosmos, then we've got the best of both worlds. Why just limit ourselves up here? If we want to really manifest and bring things in, we have to remember that we are here now for a reason. And the plants want to help us. The earth wants to help us. The earth is our mother. You know, and I lost my mother when I was very young. So for me, the earth has always been that reassuring mother force. That I know that I'm held. That I know that I'm safe. Yes, there may be challenges, but I'm always held.
Sorry to interrupt you. Could I ask a sort of quick question? You mentioned that you lost your mother when you were really young. So I imagine that we can connect with people that we knew well when they were alive in the same way that we can connect with herbs or plants that we develop a dialogue with. Because I feel that I do that with a couple of people that I've lost,
Yeah.
and it always feels really real, as if it is their energy.
Yeah,
So I just thought I might, it's not
Yeah.
a question, but I just thought, do you think it's the same sort of energy?
So I remember when it was like 4 days after my mum had died, and I remember shouting and screaming and being so angry. I said, all I wanted was a hug. And I got this hug that was the most magical hug ever. I was just wrapped in this embrace. And I went, oh, it's okay then. It's all okay. It's fine. Whether it was her hugging me or it was the earth, but there was a mother hugging me, and it was just such a beautiful experience. For me, I don't have the same relationship to people who have passed on as I do to the plants. That's my connection. And I don't really want to, in a way, because I feel like they've passed on and I want them to go on their soul's journey. I do call for my mum and dad when I need help. You know, I'll like, please guys, help me. And I call on the earth and I call on the angels and all of the other beings to come in and really support me. But I don't tune into them, because for me, I'm here now and they're not here on this plane. They may be on a different level of this plane, but they're not in this consciousness. So for me, the plants are the things that I really want to tune into. And when we talk about this sacred union with the earth, when we talk about really coming into that, it's the way we can find ourselves. So for example, that little exercise about tuning into a plant, we can do that every day. What plant do I need to work with today? You know, what's the energy that I need to bring in? And if you've got a business, you can do the same thing with your business. You can call it in. I like to have business meetings with my business. I call my business in and I sit with my business with Juliette's Kitchen. And I say, what do you need? What do you need from me today? But before I do that, I sit with myself. What do I need today? Because it's great to have this relationship with the earth, but we also have to really develop our relationship with ourselves. So how do we develop a relationship with ourselves? What was that? Meditate, yeah. Know thyself. How do we do that though? How do we know ourselves? We're brought up in a world, aren't we, where everything is distraction from ourselves. Everything is outward. When do we have the time to drop into ourselves? And how often do we communicate with our body? For me, a daily practice is asking my body, what do you need today? Not one thing. And I limit it to one thing a day, because otherwise I don't want a really long list and I don't want to fail. Because this is a really important thing. It's like if someone asks you to do something and then you don't do it, are they going to ask you again? They may ask you one more time, but will they after that? Probably not. And it's the same with our body. If our body says to us, I really need you to drink more water, and you're like, yeah, tomorrow, drink more water tomorrow. Will it keep communicating? The voice gets dimmed. So that inner wisdom, that deeper part of ourselves, it's like a radio receiver. That's how I kind of view it. And the radio is really clear. It's always there, never goes away. But whether we're tuned into it or not is another thing. And we can always reconnect. We can always retune in. So a simple way to get that reconnection is to say, what do you need today? What one thing do you want me to do today? And it may be to dance or laugh or sleep or go barefoot on the earth or to drink more water. I need to drink more water. That's one of the messages that came through, because in a field you're not drinking a huge amount. So we have to listen and then take action. That's why one thing is really good, because it's achievable. How many of you think you could do one thing that your body told you every day? It's not a lot of hands up. How many people here think they could do one thing that their body asked, that's better? Okay. Well, it's really important that when we make these statements, we're positive about it. Otherwise, there's this like, yeah, maybe, I'll just, yeah. We have to really commit to things, because this is about taking responsibility for ourselves. So if we want to come into union with ourselves, what else do you think we need to do? Meditate, we need to have time. What else?
To be honest with us.
To be honest.
Truth in your truth.
Yeah.
Rather than somebody else's.
To be honest in our truth. That's beautiful. A lot of time I think we absorb everyone else's truth, don't we? And we kind of filter it because we're not sure where we are, who we are. And I think we go through many phases in life of questioning who we are. And we should, because we change. Like a flower, it goes through different stages. Like any plant goes through different stages, doesn't it? So sometimes it's laying dormant in the earth. Sometimes the fresh buds are coming out. They're so green and vibrant. Sometimes it's in a really big growing phase. Sometimes it's in that flowering outer blooming phase. But there are different phases, just like there are different phases to us. And each phase is different. So if we go, well, I liked this then, so I'm going to like that now. I didn't like that then, so I'm not going to like that now. That's limiting our possibilities. It's limiting that connection. One of the things I like to do is find new things that bring me joy. So I like to try new things. Because I want to expand my awareness, not limit it. This is what I like and it's in this small box. I want to try new plants. I want to work with new plants. I want to forage and find new things I've never found before. Because that's exciting, isn't it? That's growth. And if we don't grow, we stagnate. Who here wants to stagnate? Who here wants to grow? Yeah, exactly. So we need to push ourselves. We need to push those boundaries if we want to grow. And part of that for me is creating this clear vessel so that I can hear myself, so that I do have energy. So it's about listening, but clearing out. You know, we're surrounded by foods, by toxins, by chemicals that are designed to shut us down all around us. And it's very hard to be in union with yourself and the earth if you're clogged up with sugar and with aspartame and with all of these other toxins. Fluoride, which shuts down the pineal, calcifies it. We don't want these things in our lives. So we have to start doing a bit of research. We have to look into it and we have to go, I'm going to be responsible for this body. I'm not just going to eat for pleasure. I'm actually going to eat to nourish my being. And that's not just eating of food, but nourishing our being with what we breathe in. Have you ever smelt a rose before? Or honeysuckle? Yeah. And what does that do when you smell that beautiful fragrance? What was that? Uplifts. Exactly. It's such an amazing thing, isn't it? And you can feed yourself on just smelling a flower. Have you ever felt that you get full on the smell? Because we need to fill ourselves up other than just filling ourselves up. I think part of our natural heritage, well, it is for women especially, is going out and gathering, collecting. And that gathering, that connection with the earth, you know, when you go out and you have a basket and you collect things, you come into that union with each plant, you get really full. Has anyone felt that when they foraged before, that feeling of fullness in their being? Yeah?
When we harvest the vegetables in our garden.
When we harvest, exactly. Harvesting vegetables from your garden is amazing. I like growing lots of medicinal herbs that I would forage out elsewhere because then I know the parameters that they're grown within and I can feed them. We feed all of our plants menstrual blood, urine, nettles and comfrey so that we've got this deep connection with them all. And for me, that's so important, that connection from seed sometimes. Wild food is amazing because it's got a different energy, but I also really like the growing and the planting. So one of the things I used to always do before I met my husband Giles was I only did it with chilies, I don't know why. I'd put the chili seed in my mouth and I'd plant it and it was my medicine. I put chilies in everything I made, literally everything. And when I met Giles, he said, oh, are you doing that because of the Anastasia books? I said, I've never read those books. And then I read them and it was incredible. I don't know if you guys have read the Ringing Cedar Anastasia books. Really interesting because they talk about putting the seed in your mouth so it connects to you energetically. And then as you water the plant, you water it through your hands so that it's always connecting to your DNA. So it's always growing as the perfect medicine for you. And when we were traveling, we spent a lot of time in India. And when we were traveling, we were with these tribal women. And it was very interesting. We went down to the river, they collected the water. I tried to pick up this water. My God, it was impossible. This woman just lifted it up on her head. But what was so interesting for me is when she was watering, and I know there's a practical reason to this, but she was watering like this. The water was going through her hand onto her food. Now, obviously, she's doing that so she doesn't drown all the plants. But I also saw it and I went, oh. She's creating the perfect medicine for her and her family because it's linked. There's this deep ancestral knowing that this is how we're meant to do things. Like the deep ancestral knowing I had when I put the seed in my mouth. It was not come from any logical place. But there was the deep knowing. And when we can remember, when we can trust those deep knowings and just go with them, because we all have those moments. We all have that, I just want to do this. I just want to try it this way. But so often we're like, oh no, I shouldn't because this is the way I'm meant to do it. So if we can start to follow those synchronicities, that guidance that's inside our being, and we get more of them, the more connected we are to the earth, the more we clear out the junk. Because we become sensitized to the environment we're in instead of desensitized. And for me, mushrooms have been a huge part of this journey. I'm going to pass around now, actually, if anyone would like some of this. This is my herbal trinity. So this is hemp oil, cacao, chaga, CBD, reishi and lion's mane. So if you would like to have some of this, you put 2 drops on your hand and then you can lick it off so we don't have any contamination. Normally you'd put it under your tongue. But this is designed to help bring you back into balance. In our bodies we have something called the endocannabinoid system, and it's the foundation of our house, and it's an ancient system that the Eastern medicinal kind of philosophies knew about. They don't call it the endocannabinoid system. But the endocannabinoid system was discovered in the 90s in Western medicine. And what's very interesting is it matches up completely with the meridian points in the Chinese acupuncture map. But the endocannabinoid's whole reason of being is to bring us back into balance. So what's so important is that we've got tools that we can work with. That's why I started making all of my different bits, is because I wanted to have that high vibration, that deep connection to the plants. Like Emma talked about, you can harvest a plant without that connection, or you can harvest it with the connection, and you've got different medicines. There was a story about a scientist and a shaman in the Amazon. And the shaman showed this scientist how to gather and make medicine. They did it at the same time. And what was very, very interesting about this journey was that they then tested the medicine afterwards. Do you think they were both the same?
No.
I think it was 30% stronger, the medicine the shaman made. Why? Because he connected with the energy of the plant. It wasn't just I'm gathering this thing, I'm on this earth, I'm using this earth. It was, I am part of this earth and I am asking this plant to help. And that's such a different energy, isn't it? And that's what we need to remember all the time when we're harvesting, when we're foraging, when we're living our lives. I am part of this earth, I am not on it. I need to be respectful for all living beings, including ourselves. Quite often in that, and that's why I talk about sacred earth, sacred union, because we also have to be kind to ourselves, not just kind to the earth and the plants and the trees, but kind and loving to us. Because we're really important in this whole thing as well. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. And when we start to have that love and that kindness for ourselves, then we can radiate it out to others and to the earth. So when I made that oil, it was a long labour of love to find, first of all, how to extract cannabis into an oil as opposed to into alcohol. Not the cannabis, sorry, the mushrooms. Because for me, the mushrooms are such an important part of this journey. And these are non-psychoactive in here. But the mushrooms for me are this awakening of our consciousness. It's that remembering. They guide us, I feel, into that remembering who we are. And I've been working with them for years, and I just am blown away by them every day. I have them sat on my desk, all around my desk, mushrooms, because I feel so protected and so safe. And I've worked with quite a lot of people and who are energetically quite open. And they've worked with my mushroom tincture and they say it really helps them to feel protected, like they've got guardians around them, guiding them and just standing there. It's all right, I've got you, I've got this. That's how I feel a lot of the mushrooms work, in that deeply protective, deeply ancestral way. And they are so deep in the earth that if you want to get grounded, work with mushrooms. Because also, if you want to get in the cosmos, mushroom spores are found in space. So we've got that thing I was talking about, deep in the earth but up in the cosmos, these two forces uniting. And ultimately you look at so many of these philosophers and they talk about the same thing, this connection between the earth energy and the cosmic energy, and it's centered in us, in our heart, expanding out from our heart. And for me, when I'm deep in the earth and I'm up there, that is when my heart opens truly and I can expand out from that point. Does that make sense to everyone? Recently, I've been working a lot with the fly agaric mushroom. So the fly agaric mushroom is the red and white spotted mushroom, the one that you see on all the pictures of mushrooms, the one that Father Christmas was created from, they say. Interestingly, with the fly agaric, what's very, very fascinating is that the fly agaric goes into the body and releases trauma. And it does this in many different ways. So one of the ways it works is topically on the skin, and you have no psychoactive properties when you put it on your skin. But when you put the fly agaric onto your skin, it goes into the body, into the connective tissue, and it releases trauma. So our connective tissue in our body is a bit like the mycelium network. So it has a similar effect. It's going in and it's releasing and it's creating this space, this openness. And it is incredible for releasing pain and trauma. So if anyone would like to try some pain balm, it's here. In fact, we'll pass that round. You can rub it wherever you want to rub it. But someone bought some the other day and instinctively, he didn't know anything about it, he just rubbed it on his third eye and he felt this great expansion happening in his third eye. I've worked with a lot of people with deep pain, sciatica and lots of other pain, and they've all said within 10 minutes or so they feel the pain dissolving. And that's the mushrooms getting in there. There's also 13 other plants, there's also CBD, so there's a lot of amazing stuff to reduce inflammation in there, but this fly agaric is really quite remarkable, and there's a lot of Russian scientists who are talking about how it's working scientifically, what it's doing in the body, because it's been used in Siberia for a long time. The shamans used to drink in Siberia and also in Lapland, they used to drink the reindeer pee, because the reindeers had been eating the mushrooms, and then the shamans would go on a journey because the reindeer had purified, because fly agaric is also very toxic. You can't just eat it, it can kill you.
How do you capture the piss of a reindeer?
I don't know.
Very carefully.
It's run very fast. It's not a joke, by the way. It's not the start of a joke.
I have no idea on how you capture it. I've not been to Siberia or to Lapland to find it. I need to.
The shaman had the antlers on, and he would eat the reindeer, and he had the full power, and then he'd piss, and then the next one would drink that.
Oh, yeah.
That was how they drank it. I mean, have they ever tried to drink reindeer piss? Running after it.
So we don't want to just eat the fly agaric mushroom. That's not what we want to be doing. But you can make a tincture with it, and it's very, very effective. It's also very, very good for helping you sleep and just calming your whole being. So it's really good to look at what is around us. I've been working a lot with psilocybin and microdosing, and again, this is something that releases trauma from the brain, and now we're seeing science is backing up what's been done for a long, long time. What's so amazing is on this land, a lot of people are really into reishi mushroom. Red reishi is the Chinese mushroom that a lot of people are into, but the artist bracket, which is the reishi of our land, is exactly the same chemically. And energetically, it's the mushroom of our land. So that's what we should be working with more than the red reishi.
You said about releasing trauma through that mushroom.
Yeah.
When people do that, are they able to remember which trauma it was that was released?
Some people can't. It depends on, some people, you don't want to go back into the journey of the trauma. We just want it out. So they help just to filter it out, which is such a beautiful thing. I really got into the journey of trauma because of, or partially because of the experiences that I had with my middle son and his journey of immense trauma in his being from the whole bullshit narrative, what it did, you know, energetically to so many kids. And I've seen this over and over again. You know, the narrative, these open children were just open and had all these channels coming in, and I could see it with my son, like 1,000 channels coming in, and he couldn't filter and process it. And he was picking up all this collective fear and going, what is this? I don't understand. Which then creates overwhelm, anxiety, and all these other things. So a large part of my work has always been based on my family and my own needs. It's like I would think we always start with ourselves. You start with yourselves and those closest to you, and then you expand out from there. And those lessons, those journeys that we have are so vital. You know, the reason I got into all this work was because my mother had multiple sclerosis when I was 8, and she died when I was 21. And the journey of her in that battle was hell. It was horrible. And she really got into nutrition. She was really, you know, she was sure she was going to cure herself through changing what she ate, through working with plants, but that wasn't her life lesson. And after that, I stuck my fingers up to it all. I was like, it's all a load of rubbish, because I couldn't heal my mum. But then I realised that was her journey, and what it did was it inspired a spark in me to want to learn more and connect more. And it's so lovely then when I can work with people who have multiple sclerosis, and we can work to help reconnect them into their truth, and they can go into remission and then it not come back. You know, that is an amazing thing. And I think, wow, that gift of my mum's life has now helped me to support those people. But it's through my connection to the earth that I can know what to do. That I can listen, because it's not me, it's listening to what the earth is saying. It's listening to the plants, how they want to work. And we live in such a magical world. I'm going to start crying, because it is such a magical world we're in. And we need to remember that magic, because it's in all of us, and we're being told that there isn't magic. We're being told that we live in a world that is hard, that's full of fear, that's, you know, a struggle. But when you watch a plant growing, or I was running a wild woman retreat and we were sat in the air, and this was the most magical thing. We were talking about transformation and releasing that trauma from our body and connecting into the majesty that we are. And there was this thing on the floor, and it started moving, and it was like, oh God, what is that? It was quite big, and it was a cocoon. And over the course of the day, this moth emerged out of this cocoon, and slowly its wings were behind it. And then suddenly it opened its wings and it expanded. And it was phenomenal watching that magic. And it really, you know, when you are open to it, you can find these magic things always. And that's what I hope this talk has inspired you into thinking about, into connecting with, into realizing that we can work with so many gifts that are given to us on this earth. But we need to ground ourselves. We need to be here now. We need to be grateful for what we've been given. And we need to be kind to ourselves and each other, and the plants and the trees, and the animals, and the soil. You know, and we do that by eating organic food, by growing what we can ourselves, by having clean water, by not buying into pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and all of these things. We have the power as individuals. We can forage. But we need to remember this ancient knowledge that is in all of us. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
I have a question, because I'm quite interested in the whole mushroom thing. However, I've been repeatedly tested by pharmacologist when I go, well, can I take some mushroom? And she's going, no. She says some people just can't. And I kind of feel there's so much information coming out how amazing they are. And I sort of feel on one level I'm missing out. I mean, I don't know whether one can just tune in to the
Totally.
just do it on a
Yeah.
non-physical level.
Yeah, you can totally tune in. What's very interesting to look into and check though is, are you intolerant, allergic to all mushrooms? Or is it is it the ground mushrooms or is it bracket fungus? Because bracket fungus do operate in a different way in our bodies. So looking into if you could have a tincture of bracket fungus potentially. But if you can't, the tuning in like we did, we can work with the spirit of the mushroom or the plant really easily. And that's such a beautiful thing. So doing that is great. And you'll get just as much benefit.
Well, yeah, I kind of feel, you know.
So you don't have to miss out. Maybe find a beautiful mushroom. You know, maybe ask the earth, say, please, can you show me a beautiful mushroom, maybe a turkey tail mushroom or a birch polypore or something that's quite common to find. But ask to find one and then have it and sit with it and meditate with it and connect with it like that. Invite it into your life. No worries. Anyone else have any questions? Oh no.
Become so beautiful. Seriously, everyone? It's just what we're all thinking.
It's the earth. It's the earth. It's because of the magic of the earth. That's what is being reflected to you. It's the magic within you. So if anyone would like to find out more about what I do, I've got lots of lovely products over there. This is my All You Need Superfoods, which is an incredible mix of literally everything in one, medicinal mushrooms, super greens, all of that jazz. I've got my mushroom tincture. I've got lots of things, so do come and have a look there. I've got the pain balm. Hopefully you've all enjoyed the pain balm and the oil. If you want to put your details on my mailing list, that would be great. I'm starting up, sorry men, but I'm starting up a monthly membership called Nourishing the Wild Woman, which covers all things nourishing. Because I realised recently, it's like I was trying to define the work I do, which is in lots of different areas, and I realised that it's nourishing. That's what I do. I nourish the being, whether it's physically with food and nutrition, or whether it's energetically. So Nourishing the Wild Woman starts next month, if anyone is interested in that. And thank you all very much. I hope you have enjoyed.